Hi folks, today we're going to do a 1-year review on this 2016 Kia Soul EV. That's right, I've had this for exactly 1 year, and I'm going to tell you the good and the bad things I like about this car. Okay folks, let's get the negative or the bad things out of the way so we can move on to the good stuff. There's only a handful, so let's get it out of the way so we can move on. First off, we're going to start with the UVO system, the UVO, I think it's what it's called. You know, I would love to sit here for the next 10 minutes and rave about how it's awesome and how from my smartphone app, I can control the heat and the temperature and the air conditioning, if it's hot or cold before I get in the car, or if I forget to lock the doors, I can lock it remotely from my office or my home if I'm in bed before I go to sleep, or even charge the car or stop charging the car. I would love to give you that kind of cool review and say it's awesome, but I can't, Kia. You know why? Because it's not available here in Canada. And I shouldn't really blame the car because the Soul EV itself isn't the problem, as far as I can see. It's Kia Canada. It's a corporate thing. And for some strange reason, they've opted not to put it in Canadian cars or support it. It's in the US, and all the US people I see online in the forums and the groups and stuff like that love it and speak highly about it. Kia Canada, when asked, has given multiple different reasons. It said they can't do it because of CRTC and they don't have French translation for it. I don't buy that. They've also said that they can't do it because they don't have a 3G or LTE carrier. I don't buy that either. Rogers, TELUS, Bell in Canada, they would love to get the contract to do this. It's not like we're a third world country and we don't have carriers or networks that can support this. So I don't buy that either. Whatever the reason, they really should have supported this in Canada and throughout the world, because from what I understand, I could be wrong, it's just in the US. For that reason alone, that is my biggest negative or knock about the car. And like I said, once again, I can't even blame it on the car itself. It's more a corporate thing, and it's from Kia Canada. The second thing I don't like about this car is the rims. I think they're ugly. I understand it's a personal choice. It's a matter of taste. I don't like them. I did something about them, and you can check it out in this video right up there. I understand the reason behind it. They wanted to stay aerodynamic and stuff like that. I've actually taken those plastic, when I had to paint them, those plastic covers off, and I drove the car around for about a week without it, and I didn't notice any difference in range. That's just my personal opinion about it. I made a choice. I changed it. You can too if you like. Just watch the video, and it's very, very simple. Little time, you got to take the wheels off. They could have done a better job with the rims. And that's really it, folks, in terms of negativity in the last year. A couple things: the intermittent wiper isn't working all the time for me, and there's a little tiny ticking noise in the back when I have nothing on and it's silent and I'm coming to a stop or something like that. When I say I have nothing on, I mean like no radio or any noise on, and I'm coming to a stop. I can hear a little ticking when I apply the brakes. I've read in the forums and groups online that other people have noticed that, and that's merely just a quick fix if you take it into the dealer. I haven't taken it in yet, but I plan to do so for the wipers and for that, and it's under warranty. I'm sure I'll be in and out very quickly, so I can't even say that's a negative thing, but I'll throw that in there because those are the only two things I've noticed in the last year. Okay guys, let's move on to the positive things, because there's lots of positive stuff I can say about this car, and I want to keep this video at a decent length anyways. The reliability of this car is impeccable. I have no problems with this car. I mentioned those two little things in the negatives, and I just threw them in there, but those are minor things in my opinion. I mean, I know it's 2016. Most car manufacturers are making and putting out a decent car on the road, so maybe I'm assuming that this is too good to be true, but I have had no problems. Reliability has been amazing with this car. Now, I don't know, like I said, if that's attributed to it being a Kia, or if that's attributed to it being an electric car, or maybe a combination of both, but get that out of the way right now. The reliability, I've had no issues with it, and it's been very reliable. Which brings me probably to the next topic, which would be fit and finish. I've had Hondas. I've also owned Nissans, Mazdas, Toyotas. Right now, actually, my ICE car is a Toyota right now. So in my opinion, the benchmark for a well-built, put-together car is like a Toyota, a Honda, or a Mazda, or even Ford if you want to say Nissan. we'll stick to the Japanese. We won't get into the Europeans, German cars. In my opinion, those are luxury cars. Even the Infinities and the Lexuses, they're luxury cars. Those go in another category, in my opinion. And then, of course, the North American cars, we can get into that, but we're not going to get into that. Let's just stick with what I've driven before and what I've owned for years. And those are, in most people's opinion, a very well put together car. And Kia, I mean, I know it's a sister company of Hyundai, and Hyundai is a Korean company. They're both Korean companies. They've come a long way, because what I forgot is years ago when I was a teenager, my mom drove a Hyundai when they first came out, and they weren't that good. It broke down all the time. They've come a long way, with that being said, and the fit and finish on this car is amazing. I mean, the pieces that are stuck together and manufactured, there's no big gaps or anything like that. When I close the door, it's nice and solid, nothing rattling, nothing light and flimsy. Because, you know, the Hyundais back in the day, they were flimsy cars and things would be cheap and plastic and everything. Here, everything is made of soft, supple touches, and the leather seats are great. I mean, they're not luxurious leather by any stretch of the imagination, but they're leather seats, and they're very, very nice. And while we're talking about leather seats, it all goes smoothly into the next one, is the ventilated seats here in the front. Amazing. First time I've ever had a car with ventilated seats. In the summertime, that saved me so many times, where it's times where you don't need to put on the air conditioning. You just want the ventilated seats to cool your back. And sometimes, like I said, that's enough. You don't need to put on the air conditioning, so your range isn't affected. And likewise, in the wintertime, they're also in the back seat for the kids. The heated seats. The heated seats, when it's a cool day, but it's not cold, so you don't need to throw on the heat. Once again, so it doesn't affect your range. You throw on the heated seats, and let me tell you, they heat up really quickly. Usually, there's 3 settings. There's like a low, medium, and high. I keep it on the low setting, and that's sufficient enough for me. That's a nice added touch for a manufacturer to throw in there for a very economical car like this. I mean, yeah, you would expect to see it in like higher end vehicles. I know it's becoming more standard on cars these days, but very good for Kia to throw that in there, and a very well useful, needed, and welcomed option. I said I drive a Toyota. I had another Toyota back in 2008 that had a Bluetooth system in it built in. It was completely crap. And that's a very good manufacturer like Toyota. The Bluetooth system in this Soul, and like I said, I'm sure it's probably across the board in all Kias, but I'm just talking about this Soul right now. The Bluetooth system is amazing. It's crystal clear. It's loud and sharp. People that are on the other end when I talk on the phone, they can't even tell that I'm on Bluetooth. I mean, before in the other car, I used to get complaints. Oh, it sounds like you're in a tunnel. You're echoing. You're all muffled and stuff like that. Very good job with the Bluetooth system. Now, some car companies tout their cars as being 5 seats. I'll use the Chevy Volt, for example. Not to pick on other car manufacturers, like this is a review about the Kia Soul, but they said they had 5 seats in the back. They did not. Let me show you the roominess of this Soul. Pardon the mess back here. Okay, I'm back here. I'm not a big person, but I'm back here, and as you can see, I'm just sitting in one section. I got the booster seat for my son there. An adult, an average size adult, unless they're like monsters, can fit in there no problem. We've actually been on a trip for an hour. It was a 1-hour drive. 5 people were back here. Sorry, not 5 people. 5 people were in the car itself. There was 2 adults in the front, 2 kids in the back, and another adult in the center seat. And I had no complaints from anyone. It was very roomy, very comfortable. You know, when they say 5 seats, it actually is. And good job, Kia. One of the great things about this car is, after I finish charging, I unplug the car, I come in, I turn the car on the digital display on the front dash, it says 160 kilometers of range. You know what? I could be damn sure, and it's very reliable, that I get 160 kilometers. The software and the algorithms that calculates it, depending on my previous days of driving and how the conditions were and how I drove, it takes that all into consideration, and it calculates it, and it gives me the estimated driving range, and it is very accurate. Within the last year, a few times I've actually driven the battery down to single-digit percentages where the turtle mode has kicked in. And if earlier in the day when it was fully charged, it said, for example, I'll use the 160. If it said 160, When I'm in turtle mode, you could rest assured that it's like at 155 and I've got 5 kilometers left. So it's very, very accurate. Actually, a few times, not a few times, on a regular basis, if it says 160, at the end of it, I'm actually getting more. If I calculate what I've used, if I reset the tripometer and what I've got left, it's actually more thanks to regenerative braking. Like I said, that range thing is a very accurate and true representation of how much you have left. The only thing I would say if I had any kind of criticism, and this isn't the negative because this is in the positive category still, but I wish it was more like Tesla. And I know I'm comparing apples to oranges when I say that, but Tesla, how they have a graph and it shows you if you're on a destination and you put it into the map, it'll show you what percentage you'll finally get to your destination left with. Something like that, where they can just, dig down deeper into the software and get more in-depth information about it. I wish it had that. And you know what? Maybe it will have that in the future software updates to come. I just hope they don't charge for it. But they probably will. I'm not a car guy, so I can't give you like specs and data and know all the stuff about it. But this car in the wintertime, and winter is coming up, so it'll be the second winter that I'm going to be going through. But the original winter, when I had it, it was amazing. Now, I know a lot of people say that's because of the layout of the battery, how it sits in the car, and it gives a low center of gravity. Could be the wheels, even though these are all seasons and I had winter rims in there, winter wheels on there in the winter. So maybe that had something to do with it, but it is a great handling car in the winter. If you're looking for something that's stable, good handling, traction control, it has traction control. It may have came on once or twice in the winter, maybe on ice, and that was it. Hardly ever came on. Now, that, like I said, that might have had something to do with the Bridgestone winter tires I had on there, but the car sits, even going around corners and stuff like that, a great handling, well-balanced car. Okay, folks, back inside the car now. Just want to wrap this up by talking about the beautiful, as you can see it here, 8-inch touchscreen LCD display. Beautiful, nice and bright, crisp and clear. The touchscreen is great. In the bright sunlight, you can still see it. It doesn't fade with the sunlight and get dim. It's nice and clear and everything in the sunlight. The touchscreen is great. Doesn't leave a lot of fingerprints. I don't know if that's the coating on it or the finish on it that they put on the screen, but my wife and I, we never have any problem with like dirty fingerprints or even fingerprints that like obscure the screen or just look messy. Very good in that aspect. The software in there is awesome. The maps, okay, I like the maps. I want to say I love the maps, but it's not there yet. I love how they have the depictions of when you're getting off the highway and it shows the exit ramps and stuff like that. Apparently the maps are made by or supplied through TomTom. If I'm wrong, I apologize, but I read somewhere it's TomTom maps. So good maps, no problems with the routing and the directions and everything. What I wish they had a better control of or did better is the live traffic. Now I heard that that's supposed to go through the Sirius XM subscription and the software. It's supposed to talk to the maps and put out the live traffic. I've had this car for a year, like I said. I've seen live traffic on this twice only. So they need to do a little better job with the integration of the live traffic, putting it in with the maps. If they did that and reroute you, the maps would be perfect. Until then, it's great to use in a pinch, or if that's the only map system you have, I would say it is no problem using it. Go ahead and use it. I have my smartphone and I carry it everywhere I go, and I've been using Google Maps for years, so I'm a little more dependent and attached to Google Maps, so I will continue to use that. But if you don't have it, or if you're not accustomed to using navigation or GPSs and stuff like that, and you get this and you need to use it, if you're going somewhere you don't know where you're going, it'll get you where you want to go. Just don't depend on it throwing live traffic up there. So overall, this car is a very, very fun car to drive. We have an amazing time every time we do it. Whenever we get the chance and we have a choice between our ICE car and this car, we always take this car. This car is hands down a much more refined car to drive than an ICE car. It's smoother. Everything overall, it's superior. This is obviously the way to go and the way the future is going. If you can deal with the lack of range, then this car is for you. If you can't and you're not into planning and just jumping in the car and hopping to a gas station like most people, you're going to have a little trouble with electric cars. Okay, folks, that wraps up my one-year review of my 2016 Kia Soul EV. This video was merely put together just to answer any questions, or if people were curious or in the market for a Kia Soul or any kind of EV. Hopefully I answered your questions. If you have any more questions or any comments, if you liked it or disliked it, I'm open to any kind of things. Just put it in the comment section below. And if you liked it, like the video for me. I usually don't ask for that, but you know, I mean, these comments, these opinions were strictly only mine. I don't represent Kia. I don't speak for any other car company or any affiliated with anybody else. These are just my personal opinions. So hopefully you liked it, and thanks for watching.